You wake up, you scroll, you repeat yesterday with a slightly different mask, and somewhere deep inside, a quiet voice whispers that time is passing faster than your courage. You ignore it. Most people do. That's how they disappear without ever leaving the room. You don't fall behind because you are stupid or unlucky. You fall behind because you stayed comfortable while the world sharpened its teeth. Jim Rohn once said that life does not get better by chance. It gets better by change. And here is the brutal paradox you don't want to face. If you don't get better on purpose, you get worse by default. There is no neutral ground, no pause button, no mercy built into the system. You think you have time. That belief alone has destroyed more potential than failure ever could. Look closely at your life. Not the fantasy version, not the version you explain to others, the real one, the habits you repeat, the standards you tolerate, the excuses you defend like sacred texts. Improvement is not dramatic. Decay is. Decay is loud, humiliating, and irreversible. Improvement is silent, invisible at first, and that's why weak minds don't respect it. They want motivation without discipline, growth without discomfort, results without responsibility. Jim Rohn warned about this decades ago, but the warning hits harder now because the world has become faster, colder, and far less forgiving. The gap between those who improve and those who stagnate is no longer gradual, it's violent. And here's the uncomfortable truth: most motivational speakers won't say out loud the world does not care about your intentions. It only responds to your results. You can be a good person and still be irrelevant. You can be kind and still be ignored. You can be intelligent and still be replaced. Nature doesn't reward potential. It rewards adaptation. Machiavelli understood this long before motivational quotes polluted the internet. Power flows to those who evolve. Those who hesitate become history. You don't get left behind all at once. You get left behind slowly, quietly, while telling yourself comforting lies. But there is a deeper, more dangerous truth we haven't touched yet. The real reason people don't improve isn't laziness, it's identity. You secretly believe that becoming better will require you to betray who you are. Your current habits protect your ego. Your excuses preserve your self-image. Growth threatens that image. To improve means to admit that your current self is insufficient, and the ego would rather die slowly than be embarrassed quickly. Jim Rohn spoke often about this invisible war, the battle between who you are and who you could become. Most people choose familiarity over destiny. They cling to the known even when it is killing them. Stoic philosophers understood this psychology with terrifying clarity. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. Not tomorrow, not next year. Now, improvement begins when urgency replaces comfort, when you realize that delay is a form of self-betrayal. The Stoics didn't romanticize suffering, but they respected it. They knew that pain is a teacher and comfort is a liar. You live in an era that numbs pain instantly. Entertainment on demand, validation on command, distraction everywhere. This has created a generation that is emotionally fragile and strategically blind. You feel busy, but you're not moving. You feel informed, but you're not wise. You feel connected, but you're not respected. Jim Rohn warned that you can drift through life and end up in a place you never chose. Drift is seductive because it feels effortless, but drift always moves downhill. Ask yourself something uncomfortable. If nothing changed in your behavior for the next 5 years, where would you end up? Not where you hope, where the math leads. Your habits are votes for the future version of you. And right now, you're voting every day, whether you admit it or not. But here is where it becomes ruthless. The world doesn't wait for you to figure it out. While you hesitate, someone else is training. While you doubt, someone else is building. While you complain, someone else is compounding small advantages. This is not competition in the dramatic sense. It's Darwinian. Those who improve survive. Those who don't become invisible. History is full of forgotten names who once had potential. Potential is the most useless currency in existence if it's never invested. But there's an even darker layer beneath this. When you refuse to get better, you don't just harm yourself, you become a burden to others. Jim Rohn said that we must all choose one of two pains: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons, and regret doesn't stay contained. It leaks into your relationships, your tone, your patience, your presence. Unfulfilled people unconsciously punish the world for their own inaction. They become cynical, bitter, passive-aggressive. Improvement is not selfish. Stagnation is. Think of the people you secretly resent, the ones who intimidate you without trying, the ones whose presence feels heavier, calmer, more controlled. They didn't get that way by accident. They made decisions when you were distracted. They embraced discomfort while you negotiated with excuses. And the truth that hurts the most: they are not better than you by nature. They are better than you by choice. But there is a deeper, more dangerous truth we haven't touched yet. Improvement is not about motivation. Motivation is cheap, temporary, unreliable. Jim Rohn never built his philosophy on hype. He built it on responsibility. He taught that success is something you attract by the person you become. Read that again. You don't chase success. You become someone it cannot ignore. That means changing how you think, how you speak, how you act when no one is watching. The world is brutally fair at the highest level. It mirrors you. Most people want the fruit without tending the soil. They want confidence without competence, respect without substance. But the world has a way of humiliating those shortcuts. It exposes you when pressure arrives, and pressure always arrives. Machiavelli warned rulers that fortune favors the bold, but only the prepared bold. Luck is attracted to readiness. Opportunity is useless to the unskilled. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Jim Rohn echoed this decades later in different words, but with the same iron logic. Your life is not the result of your dreams. It is the result of your daily disciplines. And discipline is lonely. This is where most people quit. Not because it's hard, but because it's quiet. No applause. No instant reward. Just repetition. Just showing up. Just doing the boring work when no one is watching. The ego hates this phase because there is no validation, only faith. Faith that the invisible work will one day become visible strength. You say you want a better life. But do you want a better routine? Because the routine is the life. There is no separation. Jim Rohn used to say that success is a few simple disciplines practiced every day, while failure is a few errors in judgment repeated daily. Simple, brutal, unforgiving. Look at your daily inputs, what you read, what you watch, who you listen to. These are not neutral. They are programming you, either toward growth or toward decay. There is no in between. If you don't choose your influences, someone else will, and they won't choose in your favor. But there is a deeper, more dangerous truth we haven't touched yet. The cost of not improving increases over time. What was once optional becomes necessary. What was once manageable becomes overwhelming. Skills depreciate. Relevance expires. The world moves on without apology. The tragedy is not that people fail. The tragedy is that they never realize when the window closed. They keep knocking on doors that no longer exist. Jim Rohn believed that personal development is the highest form of leverage. You can change jobs, cities, relationships. But if you don't change yourself, the same problems will follow you like a shadow. Improvement is not about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more of who you were meant to be before fear convinced you to settle. Fear is subtle. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It says, later. It says, you're fine. It says, don't overdo it. Fear disguises itself as reason, as caution, as realism. But realism without courage is just slow suicide. Stoicism teaches that you should practice hardship voluntarily so that when hardship arrives uninvited, you are not broken by it. That is improvement in its rawest form. Training before necessity, preparation before crisis. You don't rise in chaos, you reveal what you've practiced. Ask yourself honestly, if your life were to be audited tomorrow, would your habits justify your expectations? Or would they expose your delusion? But there is a deeper, more dangerous truth we haven't touched yet. Improvement will cost you people. Not because you become arrogant, but because growth changes your frequency. Some people are comfortable only when you are predictable. Your discipline threatens their excuses. Your progress highlights their stagnation. And instead of rising with you, they will try to pull you back down. This is not malice, it is self-preservation. Crabs in a bucket don't hate the one escaping. They just can't let it leave. Jim Rohn warned about association long before social media made it obvious. You become the average of the people you spend the most time with, not because you want to, but because you absorb their standards. Improvement sometimes requires solitude. Not isolation from the world, but separation from noise. From mediocrity disguised as loyalty. This is where you must decide who you are willing to disappoint. Others or your future self. The most dangerous phrase in the human language is, I'll start tomorrow. Tomorrow is a psychological trick. It gives you relief without results. It allows you to postpone discomfort while feeling responsible. Tomorrow never arrives, only now exists. And now is where improvement lives. Jim Rohn didn't teach urgency through panic. He taught it through clarity. He wanted you to see the math, the trajectory, the compound effect. Small improvements done consistently create unstoppable momentum. Small neglects done consistently create irreversible decline. The difference between the two is invisible in the beginning and catastrophic in the end. But there's a deeper, more dangerous truth we haven't touched yet. One day, whether you like it or not, you will be judged. Not by others, but by yourself. In a quiet moment, maybe late at night. Maybe when it's too late to change much. And in that moment, you won't care about what you meant to do. You will only see what you did. That mirror is merciless. And regret is a terrible companion. You are not here to be comfortable. You are here to become capable. Capable of carrying weight. Capable of standing alone. Capable of saying no, capable of enduring boredom, criticism, and uncertainty without collapsing. Improvement builds that capacity. Without it, life will eventually crush you, not out of cruelty, but out of indifference. The world rewards those who prepare for realities others deny. So get better, not loudly, not publicly, quietly, relentlessly. Read when others scroll, train when others sleep, think when others react, invest when others consume, build when others complain. This is not about proving anything to anyone. It's about not abandoning yourself. Because if you don't get better, you don't stay the same. You fall behind. And being left behind is not dramatic. It is silent. It looks like being overlooked, being ignored, being unnecessary, being replaceable. And that brings us back to the beginning. You are being replaced right now, and the most dangerous part is that you don't feel it happening, unless you decide today to become someone the future cannot ignore.